Well, happy Tuesday to all of you, and welcome to this week's edition of our text blog for the second Sunday in Lent, star date February 28th, 2021. Three texts before us today. Hey, isn't it interesting? There's always three texts before us. Yeah, I know I never count the Psalms, one of those, but that's all right. They're always optional. But a quick look. Once again, we're in the book of Genesis. And if you recall last Sunday's sermon, we talked about the very first covenant, which is presented in the Old Testament, the Jewish scheme of ordering these, and is that promise that God makes to Noah about violence, that violence will never, ever, ever be used again in God's, dealing with humanity. And as we also said, they came to realize soon that God had never been the author of any violence toward humanity, but that's a later evolution, and we can talk about that as we have. And I do plan to delve a little deeper into this once we arrive at Passion Sunday. But in the current Genesis text, we get the second covenant that God makes in Genesis 17 with Abram, where he promises to him that he will make him the father of many nations, a multitude of nations, as it says in the text. And an everlasting covenant, as he says, for generations to come, between God and Abram and his many offspring. So we have here the second of these promises that God is making, this time specifically to Abram, and not just to actually, yes, to all of humanity, because Abram will be the father of many, many nations. Romans picks that up, that promise in Romans 4, the covenant that is made with Abram again as the father of many nations. And he talks about, Abram being that father in a sense as being the father of faith. And this is really what I think Paul is going for as he talks about it was reckoned to him as righteous. It really is that idea that whether you are of the Torah or beyond the Torah, or however it is that you relate to God, that all are welcomed in God's tent. Abram is the father of all, and that promise that he made to Abram is now everyone's promise through faith, not just to the adherents of the Torah, again, but to all of humankind. And again, when you think about Paul's communities and the inclusiveness of both Jew and Gentile, this fits, I think, very snugly with Paul and his one of his main messages that he's delivering. Lastly, in Mark 8, and I've got to learn to slow down. These are meant to be very quick takes on the texts. But in Mark 8, we have Jesus beginning to teach his disciples that he must undergo suffering and be rejected by those in Jerusalem and then killed. And Peter is the one who has just made this confession about Jesus, that he is the Messiah, but then ruins that, shows that he knows, but at the same time doesn't understand, and begins to rebuke him. And this is where Jesus, of course, says, "Get thee behind me, Satan," one who strives against God. And as we've kind of developed this argument over the last, 6 months to a year, as we have talked about this movement toward nonviolence, that Peter is of a mind of those who think that righteous violence is the only way to correct things, that the unrighteous Romans will be driven away by this righteous force, that the Messiah will muster against them and all the powers of evil. And he cannot see through to what Jesus is actually saying, that no, it's not through that we conquer. It's through love that we will wear them down, and that is missed. The other thing I want to mention about this text, since a number of things are going on, but I think it's worth mentioning that this is where, in this text in Mark, Jesus also talks about those who wish to follow him must deny themselves and take up the cross and follow me. And traditionally, the idea of the cross, the symbol of the cross, has been one of sacrifice. And nothing could be further from the truth for Mark and for those first century Christians. The cross was not a sign of sacrifice or sacrificial living. The cross was indeed a symbol of the most brutal, torturous means of execution that the Roman Empire could muster. And what Jesus is saying is, to follow me, you need to be willing to take up your cross and stand against those powers of darkness, even though it may mean certain death. But to be able to, in essence, say to them, no, I'm not playing by those rules. I will not comply. There's the quote from the movie Gandhi, and I'm thinking about it because it will appear in a sermon near you at some point, where Gandhi says that they can do all of these things to me. They can beat me. They can maim me. They can even kill me. And then what they will have is my dead body, but they will still not have my compliance in their evil system. And that's really what Jesus is saying here, that we need to risk that, but to take that stand, to pick up our cross as well, to be ready to be executed by these powers as a means of overcoming them. Again, we hope it just means that we give up chocolate for Lent, but it's much deeper than that, and something worth contemplating. Well, anyway, there's a rather quick look at the text. Wish I were preaching. Good luck to Lisa Siciliano, our roving regional deacon. Curious to see what you have to say about them. Well, ta-ta for now.